Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the SP404 Mark II, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. Cresshead wrote in with a question just asking, if you have a sample that's at 90 BPM, but your project bank you are working on is 128 BPM, how can you get that sample copied over to run at 128 BPM for settings? I think you're adding in an extra step that you may not need, because you can use BPM Sync'd to make this work and you don't have to copy it. But let's go through from top to bottom how you do this. So let's go Shift and import export. Actually, let's do this. Shift tap tempo. Let's go down to 90 BPM like you're saying, so that when we import, because whatever your bank tempo is or your project tempo, depending on which you're set to, that's what's going to use when you import a sample initially to set the BPM. So we'll go sample. I got a sample packs folder with just a bunch of stuff in it. Let's go lo-fi trap. Sounds fun. These are all too fast. All right, let's try a different set here. Mellow beats. That's mellow, maybe is better. Let's see if we got anything 90 BPM. We do. All right. So let's just load these drums first at 80 BPM. So 80, and we're going to come in. We'll do 90 BPM. And you're going to hear, if I play both of these at the same time, they're two different BPMs, so they're going to sound out of sync almost immediately. Yeah, it's within like a second, that sounds terrible. So this says 90, and we loaded it. It's a 90 BPM loop. This says 90, but it's actually 80. So to go fix this, pitch speed, we want to be on manual. You can change between auto, manual, and manual fine by rotating the value knob. I'm just going to push in from manual so that I can go down to the selector. I'm just going counterclockwise to set the value to 80. The reason why we want this to say 80 is to get BPM Sync to work. BPM Sync won't work the way you want it to if the BPM assigned is not the same as what the actual BPM of the sample is. With this set though, I can go 90 and hit BPM Sync on the 80, and now it says 90. It's matching the BPM of the bank set here. So now if I play both of these, they should stay in sync, no problem. That immediately sounds much better. So now I can play either of these together or separately and do all kinds of fun stuff with it. Now, to get to what Cresshead was saying, if we go Shift, Pad 11, we want to go up to 128. I'm going to show you a problem here. We'll exit. This is saying it's going at 128 and it's 90 BPM. Check this out though. If I hit this, you're going to be like, why does this say 64? Well, the problem that the SP404 Mark II has, at least maybe it's not a problem, but the way it's been implemented is it will allow you to go up to about +7 semitones, or maybe around 50% up. So like +6, +7 semitones, somewhere around there. And to go from 80 to 128 is like around +7 or +8 semitones. So because 128, if you go 50% higher from 80 BPM, that would be about 120, and that's around the cutoff. I've done the math before. I just don't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head. So the important part is these stay in sync, and it can sound awesome. Like, I dig the sound of this, but because this is at half speed, you have to kind of, if you want this to be double speed, you got to do some extra steps. So I just wanted to show you this and point it out, that as you get trying to use BPM Sync to go higher and higher, you're going to start seeing some of your samples will drop off lower and then they'll go back up higher again. It can be a little bit confusing, but the reason is you just have these cutoffs of, it can go up to half speed. And so you can go from about 80 BPM down to 40. And with like 90, it can go down to about 45. So that if you go under 45 BPM with this 90, I'll just show you, it will go down to 40. It's going to bump it up to 80. So the math can just get weird. That's all I'm trying to say. So let's go back to 128, because what Cresshead's looking to do is how do you take this that is 90 BPM? Now, I would still just use BPM Sync'd personally, but let's say you actually want this to be rendered out as a new sample. The easiest thing in my mind to do is to set this into a pattern. So we're gonna go to pattern. I'm making sure I'm in the same bank because I want to make sure the BPM is still 128. I'm gonna hit record. I believe this is 4 bars. So let's dial in 4. We know that the BPM says 128. So I can now hit record while I'm in TR Rec. And I can now select that sample. Got it selected. I'm going to put this up to 127 just to make sure it's still full volume. I don't want to lose any volume. Now, if I just put this here, it's only playing that 1/16th note because of the sub step. I have to hit remain, and you want the hold step to say last is number 1. Number 2, we need to make sure that it takes the BPM sync value, so that's here, and not just the pitch value, because you can repitch things over here. And to get that to happen, you have to hit the pitch and speed button. So if you see that's flashing and it says sync up here, we should be all good. So I'm going to just trigger this. It should stay in time with the metronome and all that fun stuff. And heck, we can come in and do the same thing with that first one, even though it's going half speed. Whoops, I didn't want to turn motion record on. Again, you want pitch speed on, hit remain to go to hold step last, and turn that on. So we can actually have both of these pads going together if we want. Which, I don't know, that sounds like really cool to me. Let's say I dig this and I want to render it out as a new sample. Really, all you're looking to do is you're going to hit copy, hit the pad. So thumbs up, we got G1. And if you want to copy it to a pattern, I've shown this before, but the easiest thing to do, or not to a pattern, to a pad, make it a sample to render it out, hit pad select. Now it says instead of copy pattern, it says copy sample, hit pad 3, and we hit copy, and it's going to just take that whole thing and render it out. And it will actually be a real 128 BPM sample. So I'll just show you. So it says 128. If I hit pitch and speed, you can see speed is 100%, BPM's at 128, and it's manually been set to 128. So we have a perfectly good looping sample that is now 128, and we did this from a loop that was 90 BPM and a loop that, a loop that's 90 BPM, one that's 80. Again, this one actually went up to 128 BPM. This one dropped down to 64 because it couldn't time stretch it enough to get to the full 128 BPM. So if you wanted to do this, you'd have to kind of step this up and re-record a couple times to resample it. But I hope that showed you what you needed to do, Cress Head. Everybody, thanks for stopping by. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.